Hey everybody, I'm Chris Charbonneau. I'm the associate publisher for SpinSheet magazine, and I want to welcome you to this episode of the SpinSheet Happy Hour. Yes, it's a Monday. It is a part of our summer series. We are calling this summer laundry night, but we figured everybody is usually racing on Fridays, so we switched it to Mondays just for this summer. We'll go back to Fridays coming up this fall. So if you're tuning in, thank you very much. I am tuning in from beautiful, however, very hot Charleston, South Carolina, for this episode, and which is fitting because one of the races we're going to be talking about is actually the Charleston Race Week. And that's going to be our topic tonight. It's going to be talking about some of the the Southern regattas to kind of get you guys out of the cold during the winter months. And we'll be talking with those folks just very soon. But beforehand, it is my job to thank our sponsor. And tonight it is Defender. And we've got something special to talk about with Defender. Now, first of all, Defender has been a sponsor of ours for a long time. And if you're not familiar with Defender, go to defender.com. And boy, it is like a warehouse of boating products. It's amazing. But right now, if you're in the market for solar, check them out. They're having a huge solar savings days sale. And it's everything. Well, first of all, the two brands that are really sponsoring this thing is Go Power and Xantrex. And they are selling the rigid solar panels, flexible solar panels, and portable solar panels, along with controllers and monitors and the whole deal. But also the sale includes complete solar systems and kits, and also panel mounts and accessories. So if you get an opportunity, go check them out. It'll be worth your time. And if you go to defender.com/solar.jsp, or just go to defender.com, you'll see it on there. It's pretty easy to find. But that's our sponsor tonight. We want to thank you, Defender, for doing that for us. Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about sort of getting out of the cold and heading south for the winter. And we're going to bring on Molly Winans, our editor-in-chief. Hey, Miles.
Sir, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Somehow it doesn't have the same sort of ring to it as Happy Friday.
It really doesn't, but
it's more like congratulations, we made it through Monday.
Yeah, that's it. It's still a good reason to have a cocktail and enjoy a happy hour.
Yeah, well, I'm very thankful to not be in front of my computer at 5 o'clock on Fridays in this season. And but usually we're talking about our cocktails on these things, and I know you're on vacation and you actually have a cocktail. I, on the other hand, just have a little seltzer because I'm going to exercise after this. It's Monday.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, so cheers.
Cheers. Hold on. Yeah. I know what's funny is I'm technically on vacation, so I'm allowed to be drinking. I just have wine though. It's not like I'm going crazy.
Yeah. Well, I'm psyched to have our guests on tonight because it seems kind of weird in this heat wave to be. Actually, today wasn't that hot in Annapolis, but it's hot in a lot of places right now, including where you are. But just to remind people, if they're going to be traveling this winter, they need to book. They need to sign up for their regattas, take advantage of their discounts. They need to get their slips and get everything squared away in their vacation time. So we're just going to talk about a few of the top regattas. One of them, a new one. The southernmost regatta to a place of the old Key West. So I'm excited about that and get some details from Carl on that. And so hopefully there'll be some sailboat racers on here. If you're watching, make sure to share this with your audience on Facebook and these videos live on our Facebook page and on YouTube once we're done with them, so you can pass them to other people. And we have 3 guests tonight, so maybe we should bring them on.
Let's bring them on. Okay.
Yeah.
Boom.
And you're going to have to go in the. Oh no, you don't have to go in the green room for all of us to show up. So
no, it's
welcome everybody. Welcome Carl. Welcome Randy.
Hi.
And Sarah. You guys are all first-time guests on the SpinSheet Happy Hour, and we're going easy on you. It's a Monday, so it's usually a smaller audience, but they can still be tough, so you better be ready to answer some questions.
All righty.
But anyway, we're really happy to have you here. And so, Sharb, I guess you're going to go into the green room to be the man behind the curtain.
I am. I'll see you guys in a little bit, but I'll join you at the end.
All right, so I'm going to keep everybody on the screen here for a second, and then we're sort of going to go one by one through these regattas. For our audience, feel free to put questions into the chat there, and if say Sarah's talking about the Bacardi Cup and you missed it, we're going to answer everybody's questions at the end. So go ahead and put your question in, even if you feel like it's out of order. But I want to see, are you guys having a little cocktail wherever you are tonight? Carl, you're in Ohio tonight, right?
Yep.
Cheers.
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 And Randy has a cocktail down there in Charleston, which is good. What are you having, Randy?
Yeah, it wouldn't be Charleston without a dark and stormy.
All right. Excellent. And how about you, Sarah? You're in Italy.
I should be having a Bacardi and Coke, but I'm having gin and tonic, but it's Bombay, so it's still in the family. It's okay.
Oh, good. Well, it'll help you sleep. It's pretty late.
It's late. It's 11 at night. Here in Italy. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's really great to see your face. I'm always on email with Sarah over the winter, so it's nice to have a face to go with the name. So I think what we'll do is we're going to go in the order of these regattas and the order they happen in the year. So the southernmost regatta is going to take place in January. So we're going to start with Carl, and we're going to put Randy and Sarah in the green room for a while, and we're going to call them up one by one. We'll bring them all back at the end in case you have some questions. But I'm going to start with Carl and ask him some questions about his sailing and his regatta, and we'll see Randy and Sarah in a little while. So welcome, Carl. You got some sun today. I guess you were out on the water doing some coaching.
I was, yes, absolutely. So it was quite fun. We had light air, but we got 4 good races in on the laser in the 420 course. So it was a lot of fun out there today. So
4 good races is not that light. I know in the Chesapeake, 4 races, that's a party right there. That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, before we get started about your regatta, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, just a little about your sailing background and what led you to working for the southernmost regatta?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a good question. I grew up on a small lake in Ohio called Berlin Lake. I grew up sailing sunfish, learned to sail on a sunfish, moved on to lasers, thistles, lightnings, highlanders, all the, kind of dinghies, as we like to call them. Went to school, sailed a little bit while I was in school, and then got kind of in the sailing industry in the summers. While I was in school, I'd go to Cleveland, the big lake here in Ohio, and work for some friends of mine that had a sail loft and did some coaching in the summer and stuff like that. Carried on that for a couple years. After I graduated from school, I went and became a sailmaker full-time, and then for probably 10 years after that, I got what I like to call a big boy job, where I was actually in the world, doing a little bit of software development work and stuff like that, and decided sailing was a passion of mine. I wanted to get back into it, and I got an amazing offer to come move from Pittsburgh to Cleveland and run one of the sail lofts here, in Cleveland. That was part of a larger, full service marina and stuff like that. And, at that time, it was 2016, the fall of when I joined them, and 2017 was I was able to do Key West. It was the only time I've ever done Key West, and it was the last Key West race week, and it was awesome. I was on a J88 down there, sailing with a great family, the Romans, who have a J88 and a J111, and they just, they cool programs. Those are also the people I work for. So it's just been fun. And, because of whatever the situations were, we found out, pretty quickly after 2017 that, Key West Race Week really wasn't able to happen anymore because of so many different circumstances. And it was a big bummer for a lot of people, especially.
Oh my gosh. Heartbreak all over the sailing world.
It was a staple on the calendar. For me moving forward. So I was kind of bummed that they weren't going to have, another one, probably for that year and a few years after. And then also for the family I work for, they've pretty much gone, I think, to almost every single one. Like, it is literally something, it's the thing to do in January on the sailing schedule. So you know, over a few cocktails, mocktails, whatever it was over the last couple, you know, from 2018 on, we always kind of joked around like, well, why don't we just do it? Like, why don't we just try and see if we can, you know, make it happen? And, you know, always something we kind of, you know, talked about in jest, but, you know, the more times it came up, the more it started clicking in the back of the head. And I think one of the things that might have helped a little bit, not that in a good way, but kind of the scaled down events and social gatherings and regattas and stuff that were going to have to take place during the COVID pandemic. You know, one of the things we thought about was, well, maybe that was one of the things that made, you know, Key West a little not so sustainable. So we wanted to see, hey, can we scale it back a little bit? Can we make it a little more like something that, you know, the sponsors and the competitors and the organizers can afford to go down there? Because it's not, you know, it's a destination, a venue, you know, and just make it something that, you know, it was more hopefully manageable for everybody involved to come back year after year. And so we started in 2020 with, we first called it the Key West Winter Series, because we were going to have a handful or more, up to 10 to 12 J111s down in Key West for a weekend in January and a weekend in March. The January event went well. It was awesome. We had a lot of help from some of the local marinas down there to get the boats launched, and we ran the races with a skeleton crew. Our very good friend and PRO, Mark Foster, was down there running races. I was actually anchored as the weather mark, so I'm on an inflatable dinghy, and, you know, 36-foot keel boats are rounding me, which was a little intimidating, but the video and the footage of them rounding the mark was absolutely phenomenal. So, and they all did a very good job of not running me over, so I was very appreciative of that. And shortly after that, what was that?
That could get ugly.
I know. And shortly after that, we started thinking, okay, let's try and expand it. And we started, you know, running the numbers and figuring out like what registration side makes sense, you know, from a multiple race course and stuff like that. And we're like, okay, we think we can do it. So we got a website spun up. We got the notice of race drafted and opened up registration. And here we are 6 months from the event, and we have almost 50 people signed up, 50 boats, which is, and they range anywhere from, you know, J70s all the way up to, I've heard there's some interest from the TP52 class to come down and have some fun. So,
wouldn't that be great?
And again, like how it came about was simply a passion to go down and sail in Key West again every January. So.
And can you tell us the dates of this regatta? And maybe, Sharb, if you think of it, if you could pop up the website while we're talking about it, since we don't have any questions right now. As we're talking, you could put the so what are the dates of the regatta, Carl?
The regatta dates, the racing dates are January 17th through the 22nd. So one of the biggest considerations we had was what time of year to run it, because after Key West kind of, you know, pumped the brakes there for a while, a lot of other events, you know, tried to fill that spot during the year. Some other feeder races down to the regatta, you know, moved their dates as well. So it was hard to find a space that worked for everybody. So we made probably the decision just to say, okay, let's go back with tradition. It always seemed to work well on that week of MLK week. So that we kind of basically went back with the same dates as before, because, you know, that's what a lot of people that were doing Key West were used to. So, but there's so many events around the country, you know, in the winter time going on for a lot of different classes. So, you know, picking the dates was probably one of the most, you know, more difficult, you know, things we've had to do to date. So,
So for anyone who might be new to the sailboat racing scene, or for anyone who never went to Key West Race Week, can you just describe your regatta and what you envision in the classes that are going to be invited and the types of racings you're going to do? Is there going to be a distance race, or is all buoy racing? Just a general description of what those days of racing are going to be like.
So we are open to any ORC or one design boat that greater than 22 feet. So that captures a few of the key classes and the classes that travel well, like the J70s and the Melgus 24s. You know, the smaller, you know, sport keel boats we wanted to get in, but, you know, basically up to, I'm trying to remember even if we have an upper limit, but probably 65 feet. We're going to try and do 2 courses. One's going to be the three largest one design fleets that we have are going to get a course. So right now that's looking easily like the J70s and the Melgus 24s. Again, they're just rocking the signups right now, which is awesome to see. And then, following them up is, we're probably looking at either the J111s or the J88s or somebody else, just the volume, because we want to give them the course. And then everybody else, we're going to slide on the other course, still going to be buoy racing. But we're going to probably have to mix and match some fleets to get volumes from the starting line and stuff like that. But we're going to be as flexible as we can. If 5 boats show up and they want to be scored as a fleet, we'll score them as a fleet, even though they might be starting with other boats. So we're going to be as inclusive as we possibly can, but also trying to stick to obviously keel boats, where we can, because they're a little bit easier to manage for a whole week. They normally go in the water and stay in the water for a week and stuff like that. So it's going to help from a management standpoint of what boats and trailers and stuff like that. So, but we also are planning on doing a distance race for performance cruisers or people that just want to come down and pick point A to point B. And we've tried a few things here in Cleveland on kind of doing some self-run distance racing where they have an app on their phone and they start in between 2 navigational buoys, go to someplace else and come back. So if we have the resources to give them an official actual starting line, that's the plan. But fortunately, there's a lot of cool things to sail around down in Key West. So we're looking forward to that as well. So.
Yeah. So what are some of the, for someone who's never done anything like this before, what are some of the logistical challenges to getting to this regatta? And what are some of the things that you're putting into place to just make it easier to make racers come?
Yeah. So it's Key West, again, destination venue. So it's a pretty far drive from anywhere, ultimately. So it's, multiple hours beyond just Miami, which is a good spot. So the logistics of getting as far as someplace like Miami, then you add that to it. So that's something to consider, figure out how to get the boat down there, what time to get the boat down there. Once you get down there, we're working with we're trying to make it as similar to past events where we're able to use the waterfront with cranes to launch boats and stuff like that, make it as simple as possible. But we're also trying to be flexible. There's a few marinas and some other spots we're looking at on Stock Island that will be able to help us with launching as well. I would say from a competitor standpoint, the earliest thing you need to look into is probably going to be housing, just because that time of year, there's a lot of people that will be traveling post the holidays. Key West, it's going to be warm, it's going to be sunny, it's going to have crystal clear blue water. So a lot of, housing's going to be a big one. We've been, helped out a bunch by the guys that run the Galleon Resort, which is there. They also in the Bight, and they have done an awesome job. Basically, from a dockage standpoint, anybody that hasn't reserved a dock, they've got regulars that go out, but any open dock that's available right now for that week to 10 days in January, they've got it blocked off for. So we've got our competitors get the first right of refusal when it comes to finding dockage at the Galleon and a few of the other marinas down there, which is nice. So
and I would say book early anything, because and looking at some vacation time in February, I have already found full flights and some things like that. So this is a timely moment to really be talking about this.
Yep.
You already have 50 boats signed up. That already is incredible, and I was really excited to see a very strong Chesapeake contingent among those boats.
Yeah.
In a dream world, how many boats would you get? I mean, there's a dream world where you might get 300, but honestly, how many do you think you could still get before?
I guess it depends on what kind of dream it is. Is it a good one or a bad one? But no, in the ideal situation, the plan, based upon the logistics of race courses and what we want to manage and can manage, I think our ideal target's anywhere between 100 and 120 boats. That makes a lot of sense for us. And the nice thing is there's going to be 2 or 3 larger fleets that are going to make up a good amount of that. But there's going to be quite a bit of variety in regards to the, some of the ORC handicap racing boats and some of the performance cruising boats and stuff like that. So, but volume wise, ideally, budget wise, we're shooting for 100, 120 boats. So we feel like we can provide 2 awesome buoy race courses for them, and we want to provide some good racing, but we also want to give them some time to enjoy and explore the island as well. So We probably won't be racing till 5, 6 o'clock into the evening. We want to get in early, have some fun, let people be social, and get around and enjoy the amazing venue that Key West has to offer. So
and are you going to have a Regatta Central? Will there be some social gatherings there, or you said pared down a little, but
pared down a little. So we're probably toying around whether or not like a big tent or anything like that makes sense, but. Probably one thing we've all talked about is being a little more, and we've enjoyed at a lot of the events we've experienced over the last probably 18 months now is kind of getting back to a little of the roots of sailing, where you get off the dock and hang out with all your good buddies, have a beer on their boat, walk around. But we also want to give the competitors and their families and all our supporters and stuff an opportunity to enjoy as well. So we're definitely going to have some organized events, whether they're, right there as people get off the water. And we're also going to try and make it exciting and fun for the local establishments around Key West. So we might try and do stuff at a certain bar or restaurant one night to get people out and about a little bit more, and also bring the community back into the regatta as well, or even more than it has been. So, but yeah, one of the reasons we're down there for good sailing, but we're also down there to be sociable. So,
okay, that's great. Tell me about your race committee. How is that coming together?
Race committee's going pretty well. Mark Foster, again, helped us out with some of the stuff we did in 2020. He has signed on again. He's kind of helping us head up from the on-the-water chair, as well as running one of the courses itself. I've had some initial conversations with other well-known PROs that are looking to come down. So that I think that the PROs running the race course, those guys definitely are people that are eager to do it, want to do it. So they're pretty easy to line up. Then finding the cast of, I don't want to say thousands, but the handfuls of people that need to help on the race committee boats and stuff like that. We've got quite a people that have, ping us and say, hey, I would love to come down and help at Key West. And one of the things we thought would be fun is also trying to, like locally here in Cleveland, we have quite a few yacht clubs and they do a great job running their own races. So I'm like, well, why don't we try and get one of the clubs in Cleveland to try and provide the crew for one of the courses and stuff like that. So we've approached them with that. So just give everybody, whether they've done Key West in the past or not, or they live up north or whatever they want to do, just try and find ways to include as many people as possible, because quite frankly, we want all our friends down there. And, the flip side is we definitely will need and could use as many hands as we can get from a help standpoint. So,
right. Last week on the program, we had 2 race committee members who'd been at Key West many times and other regattas, including Charleston. And I asked them why there were so many Chesapeake people at these regattas. And they said, well, sometimes it's easier to travel as a team. You have your whole race committee. We know each other really well, especially if you're in a place that doesn't have an established yacht club. It's kind of easy to bring, well, if we're going to come, let's bring these 5 people who we already know we work really well with. So, I wish you luck in finding a team or 2 to join you down there for a race committee. The early bird discount for registrants. Do you have such a thing?
We do. But I think they've still got quite, we've launched registration at NOR for this event so far in advance. So I think there is definitely going to be a better price if you sign up early. So the sooner the better, not only from a pricing standpoint, but it helps us logistically, as well as, securing hotels, securing dockage and stuff like that. It's, it is what it is. It's first come, first serve in regards to that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, we still have a few months before any type of, I don't like to call them penalties, but that's, we're trying to encourage people to sign up and give them a benefit for doing so. But, so hope sooner rather than later, we should probably into the August month start to see registrations spike up. And that's where we'll start climbing, into the higher numbers towards the, 100, 120 boats. So.
Yeah. Well, I know it's hard to think about January on a hot summer day, but man, everybody misses going down to Key West, and they miss the place, they miss the restaurants, they miss the awesome sailing and the pretty watercolor. So I wish you guys the best at the Southernmost Regatta. If anyone who wants to learn more about it and find that notice of race and look who's already signed up, where can they find you?
They can go to the southernmostregatta.com, and at the very top, they'll find links to the notice of race, the scratch sheet, a registration form, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the central, and then we'll use that website. And then obviously we have, the links are going to take you from a registration standpoint to yacht scoring. So we'll kind of use the southernmostregatta.com and the yacht scoring website to share as much information as possible and make it as easy as possible for people to find info, see who else is going, as well as register, and then eventually look at some media, some scores and stuff like that once the event is actually happening. So.
Great. Well, we'll put those into the comments on Facebook and YouTube, the websites, and also the yacht scoring. I mean, we're all used to looking at yacht scoring at this point, and it's actually pretty user friendly. So that's great, Carl. We're going to bring you back at the end in case we have any last minute questions. So if you think of something you forgot to say, jot it down, and we'll give you a chance at the end to tell us just a little bit more about the Southernmost Regatta. But thank you for being here. We're really, really excited for you. And
sounds good. Thank you very much.
Next up, we're going to bring on Sarah from the Bacardi Cup, and let's talk about racing in Miami in March. Hi, Sarah. Welcome.
Yay. Hi, Molly. How are you?
But I'm glad you're still awake. I know it's late at night.
I am, and I have 2 small kids. So for me, 11:30 at night, it's very late.
All right. Well, then we'll quickly go through our questions.
No, I'm kidding.
You would let's tell us a little bit about you and your sailing background and how you ended up working for the Bacardi Cup.
So I really don't have any sailing background. I didn't sail growing up. My parents didn't sail. My friends didn't sail. But I've worked in sailing for the past almost 15 years. So sailing has really become my life, and it's been a fun journey since. My first job in the States, I'm Italian, was for a company that organized the Miami Sailing Week and other sailing events in North America and the Caribbean. And that's really how I became involved with sailing and regattas. I did Miami Sailing Week for a bunch of years, and then when Bacardi decided to stop sponsoring that event and organize their own standalone event, they asked me to do it for them. So I ended up organizing the Bacardi Cup Invitational Regatta, and then adding the 2 winter dates, which are the winter series in December and January. And that's how it started, and that's what it is now. I'm lucky to have a lot of sailing people in Miami that help me and support me and guide me with a lot of the things that we do. So yeah, that's my story.
So for any of the sailors in our audience who's not familiar with your regatta, or they might be, they're new to traveling for races anyways. A lot of our sailors stay at home. Why don't you just describe your regatta and where and when it takes place?
So I think most of the people in the world that sail have heard about the Bacardi Cup at least once, because it's probably one of the oldest sailing events that there is. The Bacardi Cup Invitational Regatta, it's a week-long event that takes place in Miami every March. There's different classes sailing throughout the week. The star class sails in the Bacardi Cup for the full 6 days, of racing. And they sail in the Bacardi Cup, which in 2022 will be 95 years old. So it's a very, very old regattas. The other classes start on a Wednesday, and they sail for 3 full days. And obviously, it's Bacardi that's hosting, so there's a lot of great parties after sailing every day. It's Miami, so it's while it's cold and freezing and raining and the rest of the world, it's very hot and warm and nice. It is a very, very competitive event because some of the best sailors in the world come and sail this regatta. So not only it's fun, but it's very competitive. And it's Biscayne Bay, so it's, you know, the scenario and the waters are possibly the best ones, the best waters there is. Back in 2019, we also added the winter series, which are the winter series is a December event and a January event. They're weekend regattas, so we sail Saturday and Sunday. Smaller events, but the concept is the same. Great racing during the day, and then when the competitors come back, we welcome them with lots of Bacardi cocktails and music and a fun atmosphere.
And what are the dates of the Bacardi Cup again? And the March dates.
So the winter series, so the December event is the 18th and 19th of December. The January date is the 28th through the 30th of January. Okay. And then Bacardi Cup, Bacardi Invitational, it's from the 6th to the 12th of March of next year.
Okay. Maybe we can send people to your website so that they can look up all of those.
Definitely.
And is that BacardiCup.com? Is that right?
BacardiInvitational.com.
BacardiInvitational.com. Okay, good. You mentioned that, I know the stars. I think it was Stars and Etchells were sailing first. And what are the other classes?
So the stars sail for the full 6 days, and the other classes are the Melgus 24s, the J70s, the Vipers, and the VX1s.
Okay, so
those are the other classes.
It's all one design sailing.
All one design classes.
Okay, good. For those who haven't been there before, what are some of the logistical challenges to getting to the event, and what do you do to make it easier for racers to participate?
Well, Miami, everybody wants to be in Miami during the winter. So it's, I think our biggest challenge is logistics. Our waterfront can only take so many boats, and the schedule it's very, very busy. So there's a lot of regattas from December all the way through, no, actually I would say November all the way through March. So we all come together and work together on putting a schedule for the season. The logistics are complicated. We help the competitors with their logistics. We sort of are the middle people between the yacht clubs and the competitors. So what they do is when they register for the regatta, then they email us and we help them figure out where to go, when to arrive, who to talk to, how much they're going to spend for the weekend or the week or the season if they want to stay for the entire season. So instead of going directly to the facility or the yacht club and maybe waiting a week, 2 weeks, or even longer for an answer, we try to get involved and we help them figure out what to do when they arrive in Miami. So I think that's made the biggest change, because they feel like, even though it's busy, even though it's an issue, figuring out the space, we get involved and we help them with the communication. So there's no surprises.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's great. How many boats do you expect in 2022?
So we've always had between 150 and 190 boats. Last year it was a very challenging year. We had to limit the entries because of COVID. So I'm hoping this year we won't have to deal with anything COVID related. So the numbers should be up. We're expecting about between 170 and 180, 190 boats.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What's great about your venue? For anyone who has not been to Miami, what's great about it? What do racers love about it?
Well, it's Miami, so that's number one. It's a very, I would say it's a very competitive event, because some of the biggest names in sailing come and sail the event. But it's also very fun because there's a lot of parties, there's an open bar. It's a great family that comes together year after year for the Bacardi Cup in March. Bacardi really supports the event. They go all in for the week. And it's warm when everywhere else it's freezing. Biscayne Bay has wonderful racing conditions in the winter, especially in March. So yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It's Miami, it's winter, and it's a Bacardi event. So I think that says it all.
Yeah, I wonder how many people are making their plane reservations right now.
Yeah.
Trying to get on a boat there. Tell us about your race committee. Where do you pull your race committee from?
So
in the club itself, or?
It's such a traditional and historic event, and it's such a big part of Miami that the whole waterfront, everybody that works or is involved with sailing comes together for the Bacardi Cup. Everybody wants to be part of it. Everybody blocks out dates for these events. Coral Reef Yacht Club has done race committee for the Star Class since the 50s. So a very long time. Biscayne Bay Yacht Club, Shake a Leg Miami, where we which is the hospital where the hospitality village is set up. The city of Miami also plays a big part. So everybody gets involved and works with us to make this happen that week. Yeah.
Great. Do you have an early bird discount for registrants?
We do. It's if registration is not open yet, we usually only open in September. But if people register early, it's $100 off. Mm-hmm. So the discount is $100 off up until a month before the actual event. Okay. So for December, it's going to be November. For January, it's going to be December, and so on.
Good. Well, let us know when registration opens. We'll make sure we put that up on our Facebook page and remind people, knock, it's time to register. And but in the meantime, they can make some other accommodations, and go to your website and figure out their dates and make sure they have a place to stay and flights for their crew and whatever else. So thank you, Sarah. We're not don't hang up. We're going to bring you back at the end in case anybody has some last minute questions. So thank you, Sarah from Bacardi Cup. And last but not least, we're going to have Randy from Charleston Race Week. Tell us why we need to be down in Charleston for anyone who is not familiar with that. Hi, Randy. Welcome to SpinSheet Happy Hour.
Thanks for having me, Molly.
Well, I'm just about to ask you about your sailing background, and I realized that all the years I've seen you and known you and talked to you about this race and tried to get into SpinSheet, I've never asked you about your sailing background and how you got into Charleston Race Week.
Well, I just missed a meeting, I think, but I'm originally from the Midwest. I grew up in Michigan and then kind of came down here from Chicago. But I think my sailing roots really we went to college and realized they had collegiate sailing, and the college I attended didn't have a sailing team, so we created one, and so things were off and running then. And somebody jokes that I wasn't an event planner, but yet we did run a Midwest Collegiate Sailing Association annual meeting way back then, so I guess that's when I started event planning, maybe, and I didn't even know it. Yeah. And so I've done, I'm missing my classic freshwater rinse right now. I'm living vicariously watching the trackers of the Chicago Mac race right now, but I've done a ton of Mackinac races. We did a bunch of small boat sailing. I raced Solings for a number of years. And then in '99, we moved down to Charleston I was part of during the .com craziness, I created an online store. I've been in the marine industry forever. So I got the opportunity to create an online store for a company called SailNet that was popular in the 2000, 2001 or so. 2005, I ended up creating my own business called Charleston Yachting. And having my own business, it allowed me to spend a little bit of time developing sailing and helping sailboat racing here in Charleston. It was like Chicago days. I was used to racing with customers and sailing with customers all the time. Charleston didn't quite have that customer base, but yet I could help the local perf group grow their racing. And I ran for several years, ran the racing for Charleston Ocean Racing Association, which is the owner of Race Week. Then got put my toe in the water with Charleston Race Week, doing some scoring and stuff, and became event director, race director actually. And that was probably 12 or 13 years ago.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that be careful what you ask for, But it was, I guess, just the perfect storm, being in the industry and have raced all over the place. You could sort of see what the potential was of Charleston Race Week, and Charleston was growing at the time as well. But yeah, it's been quite the ride the last 12 years or so.
Well, for anyone who hasn't been lucky enough to travel down to Charleston Race Week, if you could just describe the event for us, what takes place. There's some buoy racing, there's a distance component. What is Charleston Race Week like?
Yeah, it's grown. I think its success is that it's in its own venue. We're lucky enough to have this Charleston Harbor Resort and Marina where we can house all the boats in the marina and then utilize the facilities of the resort that provides us a beach. And it's been very successful for our sponsors and makes it somewhat easy to do. I think that the success Race Week saw was really, 2007, 2008, when the economy wasn't so great, right? It was kind of difficult. And I think that Charleston's a little bit closer. It's a little bit easier to get to. It has, if you draw 15-hour circle around Charleston, that reaches up into the Midwest and in the Northeast and gets to the Southeast. So its draw is pretty significant. Today, we're drawing from 27 different states, 12 different countries. So it's really become kind of an international event. It's pretty, you have to pinch myself every once in a while to actually see where this event's really grown up into. And we joke, what's its key to its success? Well, it's not really a week, it's 3 days.
Yeah.
So, it made it more affordable in a time when people needed a more affordable event. And so we always we're very sensitive to it's a return on investment. People it's not just money, but it's time. There's a lot of work involved in it. And it's important to us that they come away from our event, wow, that was time and money well spent. It's really, really important.
What are some of the logistical challenges to getting to your regatta, and what are some of the things you do to make it easier for racers to participate?
Due to the scale of it now, the logistics of getting boats in and out of the water are probably, the most difficult aspect of it. We're lucky enough to have, what have we got? 4 local yacht clubs that help launch and haul boats. The bigger boats, we've got a boatyard now involved, but we've actually had to go in and work with the Ports Authority and have had our own cranes and our own launching for some of the larger boats, just to get them in and out of the water. And Sunday, like any regatta, it's a race to the hoist, right? Most important race of the day. Well, that is 220 boats trying to get out of the water all at once. So it can have its challenges, to say the least. But we know it, and we recognize it, and we continually try to make it better.
Great. What classes have historically attended the event, and is anyone new joining the fray?
It's funny. You take a look at how many, the Milgus 24 class, the J70 class, the J24 class, the J22 class, the J105 class, the J88s have been really supportive. What else? I'm going to forget Vipers, VX1s. The RS21s started, a couple of years ago. And that's been a really good program. It was difficult last year with the pandemic and not knowing, it was just so tough to plan on anything for them. So they struggled, but, we expect to see them back. We've heard rumors that, we're starting to get some critical mass of Milgus 32s, and trying to give them the course. We're a bit challenged, our harbor is only so big, and it's funny, everybody wants to race in the harbor, it's like, oh my gosh, the offshore course, that's too far to go. And it's kind of like, well, wait a second, it's the same distance you go in Chicago to race, it's the same distance you go out to race in Annapolis, but all those one design boats that are 10 minutes off the dock, and are racing, it's a bit of a challenge. We've had a couple of years ago, we had the M32 catamarans in. They had a great time. There's rumors, I've heard some, rumors about them maybe wanting to come back next year. So we're always trying to figure out how to stretch the size of the harbor and accommodate everybody. But I think when we had the M32s here, I guess that was a couple of years ago, we basically had 7 courses, which is a logistical nightmare.
And I didn't hear you mention that there was a handicap racing component.
Well, then we have ORC and we have PHRF. Thanks for we started
you did some ORC, but I remember it as being perf, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we actually jumped on the ORC bandwagon pretty early on. Because it was difficult. We had a number of out-of-town boats, and it's always, perf can have its chinks in its armor sometimes, and it was nice to get into a formula type rule. It's certainly, and quite honestly, my hat goes off to Dobbs Davis on that, and he's pretty good. He's been really a good promoter of the ORC. So I think this year we had 4 ORC classes. And then we use perf for the pursuit courses, in which we had 4 classes there. And then this year we added a small perf class to allow some of the local smaller boats, the 25 to 27 footers, put them on one of the inshore courses. So, we'll have 16 to 20 classes depending on the year.
Yeah. So, how many boats do you anticipate this year? I know it's so hard to know, but
yeah, it is. It's I do think that there's some pent up demand. If things, go well. 2020, we were on track to actually. It's always been a goal of mine to actually have 300 boats starting. We've had 287 is the largest number on the starting line. So. We were on track in 2020 to be 300 boats, and it was going to be our 25th anniversary. So I'd love to see that come back and happen again. So I do think that we'll probably be into that average number of 275 boats or so, and if I do my job right, we'll have 300,
Yeah.
It's just you're at that 300, it takes 350 boats to sign up. It's an interesting metric.
So tell me about your race committee. Where do you pull them from?
We pull our race committee from all over the country. We're lucky, think about, that we are doing 6 different courses. So you can imagine our race committee is about 200 people. And we cut it down to the bare minimum last year for the pandemic, and we were still at 175, which was just and that's using Markset bots and everything we could to keep that number down. But the reputation of the event sort of precedes itself, so they were lucky to have a bunch of race committee people that want to do it, They want to have it kind of on their CV. We have, international race officers, we have national race officers, regional race officers, and club race officers, all kind of involved in the event. And we try to do, just like with the sailors, we try to do a lot of mentoring, and use the event. It is a lot of racing over 3 days. So it's a great experience for race committee to educate themselves and get going for the upcoming year. So we're just really lucky in that standpoint. I mean, we literally have as many as we need. It's kind of same way for judges. I mean, it's, I have to, our judges, there's a waiting list, I mean,
well, that's a good sign. So for anyone who's never traveled down to Charleston, what do people love about this regatta besides just being Charleston, South Carolina, which is a cool place to be?
It is Charleston. As you saw my toast, it could be the dark and stormy that takes the sting out of a bad day at the end of sailing, or just a good celebration. But I also think I would hope that it kind of circles back that they have a pretty good time, and our goal is for the sailors to come out. It's one of the first big regattas of the year, right? So you got a lot of people coming in from down north that might not have been able to make it down to Miami or other places. And we work really hard at trying to educate and have programs during the event that they kind of come out of Charleston Race Week a better sailor for attending. I mean, that's always been a goal, and it's been, it's been a super partnership with Quantum Sails. They have really supported that in a big way over the years. This past year, even during the pandemic, we had online commentators, we had debriefs at the ends of each day, and we try to educate the sailors and help them get the rust off and get them ready to go for the upcoming year.
Yeah. Well, great. How do people find Charleston Race Week?
Well, there's charlestonraceweek.com. Our Facebook page is another way to just kind of keep tabs on it. There's an email list if you go to the website, which is great. We're really good about communication. So there's even info@charlestonraceweek.com, and that comes directly to me. Don't hesitate to ask the questions. We'll get back to you right away. And hope to see you in April.
All right. Thank you, Randy. We're going to bring our other guests on here in case there are any questions from the audience about these 3 regattas. I really thank you guys for coming and talking about your regattas. Obviously the Bacardi Cup and Charleston Race Week are our favorites of Chesapeake sailors, and way beyond the Chesapeake too. And Carl, with your Southernmost Regatta, we're hoping you have some great luck bringing some people down to Key West again. Those people who have missed going to Key West. So and I think you're muted, but I want to say thank you to you. So. And if there are any final words, we'll start with you, Carl. Any final words you'd like to say? Something you forgot to say about the regatta? Anything to get people psyched about signing up for the Southernmost Regatta in Key West in January?
All I can say is meet us at mile 0. So we're looking forward to having everybody down there, having a good time, having some awesome racing, and just sharing some drinks and stuff after the event, and talking about what we love to do, and that's go sailing. So
great. Thank you. Sarah, any last words about the Bacardi Cup, the number of events?
Same here. We hope to see you in Miami. The information for the season, for the 3 events, it's not up on the website yet. It will be next week, and registration will open early September. So again, we'll see you. We hope to see you in Miami soon.
Great. And make sure to stay in touch on that. We'll put it on our Facebook page. And how about you, Randy? Any last words about Charleston Race Week? Get people fired up about next spring?
Just go to that Southernmost Regatta and that Bacardi Cup, and then stop in Charleston on your way home.
Well, that's part of the reason why we thought all of you would go well together as guests, because you could possibly do all 3 of these regattas very easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Sharp, if you would like to keep me on for a moment, we'll say goodbye to our guests. I just have a few more words to say before you send me into the green room. But thank you, Randy, Sarah, and Carl. I hope you come back sometime on the show, and we'll make sure to send as many people to your regattas as we can.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Molly. Bye.
Bye-bye. Sharp, are you going to come back on with me? Are you there?
Oh, it's all of us. Hold on. We're all make everybody sphere. Oh, sorry. Okay, there we go.
Oh, that's okay. I just wanted to mention for our audience or some people who might not have traveled before for regattas that there are many regattas that you could travel south to over the course of the season, especially if you're a one design sailor. If you're a Viper sailor or a VX1 or Star or Etchells or J70s, and there are tons of events, especially down in Florida over the course of the winter. And just knowing, the way travel is these days, and it's tough to get your flights, it's tough to get your rental cars and all that sort of thing. So I know it's hot and it's summertime, but you might want to start getting your travel plans together sooner rather than later, because it's there's a lot of pent up demand. And
that's right.
Yeah,
it could be a fun road trip, though. Just saying.
Heck yeah. Any of those would be okay with.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. I guess we're going to wrap this up. Thanks everybody for joining us. This was actually really great. I'm totally psyched. I'm psyched that everything's coming back, and I love the Southernmost Regatta. The idea of bringing back something to Key West, and I'm glad that the other events there are obviously going to happen again, because they're such a vital part of sailing, and kind of traveling down there from the Mid-Atlantic. Though I think there's so many people that do that, and I'm glad that they're going to get that chance to do it again. So.
I know. I like to see their pictures and hear their stories, even though I'm jealous a lot. It always sort of, it makes my heart feel good when I see one of my friends in a picture sailing with beautiful water, the blue sky. I think, well, at least someone's getting out of here.
Yes. Maybe we'll have a live feed from one of these, from all these events, and just say, look how warm that water looks during the cold months that we're up in the Mid-Atlantic. You can't make it down.
Well, that's all I wanted to say. If you want to send me away and talk about Defender Sail or.
Well, I am just going to do one last thank you to Defender. And of course, just encourage people to check out their solar sail. Looks like some pretty good deals. So go check them out. Without them, we can't do things like this. And that's all I've got. Thanks, Molly. I really appreciate we putting this all together, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again, and
we'll see you in August for our final Monday happy hour before we shift back to Fridays in the fall. So
yes,
I'm not sure we have a topic for that one yet. I'm working on it. Yeah,
we'll figure it out. We'll play it by ear as we normally do. But thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you the next time. Get out on the water.
All right. See you guys.